Hi Gemini, welcome to your June 2020 horoscope and taroscope. I hope you're doing very well. I hope you're having wonderful birthdays and a wonderful season. Today would be my grandmother's 98th birthday, so I thought in spirit of Gemini I would film it today and tell you about a very interesting story I had this morning because the weather's very beautiful here at the minute, as you can probably tell because I'm burnt. This morning I was outside having coffee, having breakfast on the decking, and this little, it was like a dragonfly, but it's actually apparently called a damselfly, came and landed on my shoulder and then flew around, came back, landed on my shoulder. And as it would have been my grandmother's birthday, I can only interpret this, because interpretation is all based on, it's a personal thing, but I can only interpret this as being a messenger of a nod from her, and very in alignment with the deep personal transformation that is occurring, not just for myself, but for everyone with these eclipses. The eclipse for you, again in line with the damselfly and its spiritual messenger of transformation, of regeneration, I can only understand for you, is quite a deep transformation of self. It's occurring in your partnership sector, but in terms of partnerships, the self is a big part of the balancing act. And where you're out of alignment with yourself, you find that a lot of the time in your relationships, that occurs as well. The who am I within a relationship is part of a Gemini's karmic purpose, in that your karmic purpose in life as a Gemini is to express yourself authentically, to express your true self. That is your purpose. As gifted communicators, as gifted interpreters, as the sign most likely to gain great command over the languages that we speak on this planet, you are gifted in communication, but oftentimes that gift can be exploited, and sometimes it can be misused in trying to establish healthy relationships, in the sense that you are so good with words. It is both a weapon and a shield for you. In your partnership sector, it is going to be transformed quite deeply, whether you are part of a partnership or not, as I said, because we cannot have partnerships without having an authentic sense of self, and partnerships are a direct reflection of this. But for you, whether it is the ending of a relationship, as many eclipses can be, whether it is the ending of a cycle of a relationship, whether it is a realization, whether it is a new beginning, as eclipses always are, and the second eclipse at the end of the month in Cancer will be in your second house of values. I think for a lot of you, particularly with Venus retrograde in your sign, are having some very deep realizations in terms of how you love, who you love, and why you love the way you do. Why you make certain choices, why you do things a certain way. And Gemini, I think, has this very... It's so associated in astrology sometimes as being this very shallow sign, but that's never really been a fair point. Gemini is more complex than that. And for you, this lunar eclipse is going to bring about very interesting developments in terms of emotional baggage and people from the past. For a lot of you, it's a realization that somebody from the past was maybe the person that you would like to bring into your future. For others of you, it's realizing that in your current partnership, you feel like something is no longer working, or whether it is a realization that something can work. Endings are always beginnings, so there's no need to assume that this is the ending of everything. It's not. It's not. But it is a mutable T-square, squaring off Mars and Pisces in the way the world views you. Opposite Venus in your sign, your sense of self and how you value yourself in relationships. And of course, your partnerships. So, you're very much thinking of the future. And you can see, before the eclipse, clear indications of what's to come. Though even then, you may still be surprised. You may even surprise yourself. A lot of Geminis in certain situations may have to make very clear choices between the past and the future, or between two distinct routes, possibly three distinct routes. The choice is yours in many ways with this Queen of Swords, but for a lot of you, I think you see what is coming, and I think you've seen it coming for a while. I don't think that it is anything shocking. It's quite hard to shock a Gemini. I think it's more surprising at the way certain things have turned out, the way certain things have come around for you. And I think you are more than ready to take some kind of leap of faith. I think you're more than ready to embrace a new beginning, embrace the change, and see that perhaps what is to come is better than what has gone. Which in my experience has always been quite easy for Geminis in their mutability and their versatility. That's not to say things don't hurt. That's not to say things don't get to you. That's not to say things don't bother you. It's just to say that in terms of adventure in life and in terms of seeing the potential, you're very good at it. And it's a wonderful trait. And I think that there is a new horizon here, particularly with the eclipse in Sagittarius and the eclipse in Cancer, for you to take an unexpected, surprising, but not shocking path. Not shocking to you. There are big changes occurring, and it's important to breathe through it. Venus is still retrograde in your sign. And for a lot of you, the synchronicities and the connections to the past, to your destiny, are so strong that you can't ignore them. And I think that despite all the changes and despite there being so much mutability in the air, you have a very strong sense of faith in it. By the first week of June, I think a lot of you have a very strong sense of purpose. And a very strong faith in opportunity. Mars in Pisces conjunct Neptune in Pisces is giving you the drive, it's giving you the inspiration to think outside the box in terms of money, in terms of career, and in terms of business ventures. It's giving you confidence. Neptune is going to go retrograde at the end of the month, and to be retrograde in your career sector is a good thing because it will give you a clearer picture of what it is you really want. And I think in terms of business, I think in terms of career, a lot of you are feeling very inspired to go after something that feels like it makes sense to you. Even if it doesn't necessarily make sense to everybody around you, it makes sense to you, and that's important. It's very, very important that you have faith in what you're doing. And it's not to do with anybody else's doing, it's to do what you're doing. In love, that's kind of different. But we'll get there. Venus goes direct in your sign on the 25th, 5 degrees of your sign, and it will stay there right up until August. This is a summer of love for many Geminis, and this full moon lunar eclipse is kickstarting a very, very interesting summer that you couldn't possibly predict. You have a feeling, but you cannot predict it, because there are certain things, Gemini, that if you knew right now, that if you saw coming, you might make different decisions. Because this is all playing out in a way, as I keep saying, that is surprising, but there's an inner knowing that makes it not so shocking. You're very tapped into the fact that certain things around you can be felt before they can be seen. Particularly with love. You're very intuitive. And for many of you, this is taking a more spiritual route in career, whatever it is that you do. For many Geminis, you're probably healers of some kind. You're probably healers in either the medical field or alternative psychic fields. But you're getting in touch with your healing power nonetheless. And your intuition is starting to peak. starting to become very clear, where certain connections in your life, be it romantic, were just not about ready to cook. So, in addressing some shadowy pain, some recent disappointments, or some past disappointments, some past pain, you can see where your motivations were lying when you made certain decisions. And I don't mean lying in a malicious or in a sense of no truth. I mean lying as in they were lying dormant. They were down. You couldn't quite see the motivations. You couldn't quite see that you were going a lot deeper with your roots than you realized when you made certain decisions, or when certain things were just not quite working out. You have something in here. And I think for a lot of you, there is some degree of shame or guilt in your past in a decision that you made that is holding you back from the energies that wish to come in over the next few months. And they're going to come in regardless, and they're going to usher you to new levels, to new places, to new people, to new opportunities. And that's very, very healthy. But this lunar eclipse is all to do with releasing a form of baggage. And in releasing a form of baggage, there is a realization. And again, it's not shocking, but you surprise yourself. So, what is this realization? It is linked to the past, whether it is a person, whether it's an experience. The square between Mars and the eclipse is a lot to do with what in your public image, what in your romantic life has had you questioning yourself very, very intensely, or has made you in some way quite angry at a decision that you made or was made for you. Something in those areas makes you quite frustrated. Be very careful not to say too much about it. Be very careful not to say too little about it. Just be careful that you don't act rashly around the 5th, around the 6th, around the 7th. Anytime in June, don't act too rashly. Be fair. Particularly as far as a Libra is concerned, make sure you're being very, very fair. And if you work in law, be very careful of being some kind of scapegoat or punching bag for somebody else's problems, particularly if it's a Libra. So, a lot of you are receiving or giving an apology, or quite simply forgiving someone who would never apologize. Not for them, not for you. Well, yes, for you. Not for them, for you. For your inner peace, for your forward thinking, and for your forward momentum. So that could be a Libra. It could be that a Libra in your life has a lot of pain, has a lot of upset at the moment, and you're really having to get to the root of it with them to see where it can go from here. Now, I think a lot of you, in terms of Venus in Gemini and retrograde in your sign, as we know, has been a lot to do with the reason many marriages have not gone ahead. Many marriages that were booked to go forth or were scheduled for this time due to the pandemic obviously have not occurred. And a lot of people are feeling frustrated, a lot of people are feeling upset, but a lot of people in the astrological sense have been saved, because it's not a good time to get married when Venus is in retrograde. So for a lot of you, there could be that disappointment. Trust it. Trust it. And it's not because the marriage wouldn't work out now, it's because that getting married during a Venus retrograde is just not a good idea. It's giving you time to reflect, and it's giving you time to change certain things, and it's giving you certain realizations, and you will see by the end of June that certain things had to work out a certain way. Three of Pentacles. Again, in work, be very, very, very careful. Just because Mercury is retrograde in Cancer, your second house of value, be careful with money. Don't be investing it, don't be risking it, don't be getting complacent in terms of your job, no matter how long you've been there. Just be careful, because when Mercury is retrograde in Cancer, simply nobody really knows what they're doing. Even your boss doesn't know what they're doing. But you already knew that. King of Swords, you to finish up the reading. So we exit your season with you very, very, very much sure of yourself, of your power, of your potential. And being able to roll with fate. Where you have been wondering about somebody, missing somebody whom you used to love or still love, where there was some kind of illusion or deceit. The new moon in Cancer at the end of the month wants to grant you some kind of wish, particularly if it's romantic, particularly if it is with somebody whom you've grown to see in quite an idealistic way, where there is a crush of some kind in your life, where there's a romantic interest. The new moon in Cancer has things working out quite well for you. If there is a past issue within you where you've had to look inward for answers, where you've had to do a lot of self-reflection, where you've had to come to the conclusion that you were deceived, or that you did some form of deceiving, or something didn't sit right and could no longer just sit dormantly within you, I think by Leo season there's a lot of resolve. By the time Venus leaves your sign, you've had a very intense period of clearing, of receiving, of allowing, of giving. And particularly if you've been very, very badly hurt by a Virgo, I think you have the last laugh if you've been hurt. If you've hurt them, the Sun and the Ten of Cups suggest that no matter how painful something has been, no matter how disappointing something has been, it has awakened within you some form of metamorphosis, some form of changing that is getting you to where you want to go. Getting you to a period of happiness, getting you a period of fulfillment. Venus in Gemini this year, the extended stay has been a lot to do with understanding the duality of our own natures in partnerships, how we can be both the heartbroken and the heartbreaker, how we can both be giving all of ourselves and yet giving nothing. It's very, you understand it, but it's very much set up for you, Gemini, in terms of reevaluating the way that you do love, the way that you cooperate, the way that you operate within a partnership. It's very much to do with shedding a light on those, and those kind of realizations can be quite painful, they can be quite hard, and they can be any form of deep change, as we understand with the T-square, because this world has been very much on the periphery of big change for a couple of years now, and it's all coming together now. Change is very painful, change is very confusing, change is very upsetting for a lot of people. And even the way that it transpires can often be exceptionally upsetting. What matters is, with the energies of June, what matters is being versatile, and what matters is being fluid. And a lot of trusting in change is to do with the faith that we have, as represented by the Fool, who has cast away a lot of baggage. He travels light. He knows something that we don't when he begins that journey, because he is traveling light. It doesn't mean that he is just beginning out of nowhere. he has let something go to get there. He's starting from zero. You, in some area of your life, are willing to start over, to start fresh, to have a different perspective, to awaken something within yourself, to overcome your disappointments, to make peace with your past, to realize who you really, really want to be, as well as who you are and how you will express yourself. And you, by the end of this summer, will be so transformed you may not recognize yourself as far as love goes, as far as the way you operate and the way that you give yourself. And it's no bad thing, because the new moon in Cancer by the end of the month has you seeing your worth, has you seeing your value, and has you seeing where an opportunity was waiting for you all along. It just depended a lot to do with timing. But you're still calling the shots nonetheless. So Gemini, I will see you in the extended part of the reading. Have a wonderful June, have a wonderful birthday, and I will talk to you soon.